very small room, and she physically put me in the bed next to this undressed man who was very famous and had his hands like this.
I want to know who that woman was. The one she trusted. The one that she said she thought was going to protect her. But instead, brought her down to a bedroom, physically put her in bed with a naked man.
We now know that Hayden Panettiere was found unresponsive in Greenville, South Carolina, and her death is now being investigated.
So just days after Hayden Panettiere revealed how she was forced into having intimate affairs with powerful Hollywood creeps in the industry at just 18, she drops dead. And the police are refusing to reveal her cause of death. But get this. Even though they are refusing to give details about her death, TMZ is already working overtime to push the narrative that Hayden lost her life to an OD. This is the typical excuse Hollywood slaps on the suspicious deaths of celebrities who they had a hand in unaliving. And it looks like they are already working overtime to use the same playbook on Hayden. And to make matters even worse, her boyfriend, Brian Hickerson, who has a history of mercilessly putting his hands on her on multiple occasions, was one of the last people to be seen with her, right before her sudden death. And as we speak, he is also being investigated for possibly having a hand in her death. Okay, so according to reports, police and EMS responded at 1:51 p.m. to a report of an unresponsive female, who was later confirmed to be Hayden. Hayden received medical assistance, but was later pronounced deceased at the scene after attempts to save her life. Now, as we speak, the cause of her death, or even the emergency call, has yet to be released, as the Greenville Police Department is actively investigating it. But get this, they claim they can't give us the cause of Hayden's death because they are investigating it, but for some reason, they were quick to seemingly blame her death on her substance addiction. Now, if y'all know anything at all about Hollywood covering up people's deaths, then you know the OD narrative is a very common excuse they like to use to gaslight people into thinking the death of a celebrity is an accident, especially when that celebrity actually had a history of addiction, which Hayden unfortunately did. You see, Hayden opened up about her addiction back in 2022, admitting that she had been battling opioid and alcohol addiction for years. She said she was first introduced to substances at about 15 while working as a young actress. Someone on her professional team gave her what were described to her as happy pills before red carpet appearances to make her more energetic and upbeat during interviews. She said at the time she didn't understand that taking them was inappropriate or where it could lead. As she got older, her substance use became much more serious, eventually leading to her opioid addiction and alcohol use. In her own description, the drugs and alcohol became things she felt she almost couldn't live without.
It was somebody who was on my team that I was working with came to me, and it was before this red carpet, and I had been doing Heroes, and we did press all the time, and I was a little low energy, and it was, here, take one of these, it's a happy pill, it'll give you energy. So I didn't think of it at the time as like a bad thing.
Yeah,
or
right. How old were you?
I was 16, and it must have been something that was similar to like an Adderall,
Yeah.
but they got it from Mexico. I should have thought that's so sketchy, but I didn't, because I trusted the person.
Yeah.
And it did give me that little bit of energy, and I didn't feel like high and out of control, but I did feel like happy. And like I was looking forward to doing
the life of the party
interview. Yes.
And it only got worse when she gave birth. After giving birth to her daughter Kaya in 2014, she experienced severe postpartum depression. She has described having difficulty emotionally connecting with her baby and not understanding what was happening to her. She said that nobody had warned her about postpartum depression or explained what symptoms to watch for. During that period, she became increasingly dependent on alcohol and substances. Her addiction eventually affected virtually every part of her life, including her career and her relationship with her daughter. In 2018, Kaya's father, Vladimir Klitschko, received full custody, while Hayden focused on getting treatment and becoming stable. Hayden later said giving up custody was extraordinarily painful, but that she believed Kaya was safer and better off with her father while she dealt with her addiction. She entered inpatient treatment in 2020 and spent roughly 8 months there. And just when she was finally getting better, she tragically lost her brother, Jansen Panettiere, just 3 weeks before the premiere of Scream 6, and this undeniably made her mental health a whole lot worse, with some reports even claiming she may have relapsed after that. Now, the big question is, why would the industry take her out and then use her addiction to cover it up? Well, that's because just before Hayden died, she began exposing a lot of incriminating stuff about a lot of people that they definitely want the public to know about. And she wasn't holding back either. She was really going all out with the things she was saying. So just a few months ago, she released her memoir, This Is Me, A Reckoning. And anyone who has read this book, or even heard a little bit about the things she was saying, knows this is the type of book Hollywood doesn't want the public to have access to. But Hayden put her life on the line to release it regardless, and seemingly got taken out right after. Right before the release of her book, she did a sit-down interview with the podcaster Jay Shetty, where she narrated the story about how she was forced into CT by a Hollywood agent when she was just 18. So this agent, who she had grown to consider as a trusted adult, someone she saw as a protector, someone who had her back, took her onto a boat, led her to a room where an older man was lying in the bed completely naked, waiting for her to undress and perform inappropriate acts with him. She said the man in question is someone we all know, and with the way he was casually just waiting on the bed, it was clear this wasn't his first rodeo. In her own words, this was just an average day for him.
Shook me and was shocking. And I was quite literally walked down, and I had been having a great time. There was no hints of anything like that happening. So it took me, I was shocked. It took me by surprise. And it was led by somebody that I had grown to trust and see as a protector and somebody who had my back. And to be walked down, down the stairs, and it was as like a surprise, presented as though it was like a surprise. And it was this very small room, and she physically put me in the bed next to this undressed man who was very famous and had his hands like this, like this was just an average day for him. This is something that happens all the time. And I waited for her to leave, and lion in me, that fire in me, that my hair stood on end, and I became ferocious. I was like, this is not happening. But I had nowhere to hide, and I bolted, and I hid wherever I could think of to hide on a boat. There was no jumping off and swimming away, and there was nobody who was going to. I realized that there was nobody who was going to be empathetic to my situation.
Now, as you can already imagine, people were very curious as to who this person could be, so they started their own investigation and found old paparazzi photos of her partying on yachts around 2007 with her circle of friends. Apparently, one of those friends was allegedly a former Real Housewives of Beverly Hills cast member, Diana Jenkins. It turns out there'd already been an old rumor floating around that Diana was a Hollywood madam, and that rumor resurfaced in 2022, leading Diana to file several lawsuits over it. Diana's team put out a statement, denying involvement when her name got dragged back into this. Diana's team told TMZ, Diana has had to deal with false online rumors before, and sadly, this is just another example of that. So let me be 100% clear about this. It most certainly is not Diana, and anyone who claims it is her will be sued. Now, mind you, 2007 was also the same year when Heroes was blowing up, and she was dating her Heroes co-star Milo Ventimiglia, and constantly photographed with famous friends, all of whom have been speculated to have been on the boat with her when this happened. And according to Hayden, none of the people in the boat bothered to help her, even when she was clearly crying out for help. Well, word on the street is that Hayden's memoir pissed off the people she was talking about, and they decided to end her life to silence her for good. And this entire situation gets even messier when people clocked that, even aside from Hollywood trying to use her addiction as a cover-up, they were also seemingly trying to push the narrative that her on and off again boyfriend, Brian Hickerson, had a hand in it. Now, I'm not going to sit here and defend this man, because he has actually earned the bad reputation he has. And in fact, Hayden went into detail about their toxic relationship right before she died, so it's really not looking too good for him. And get this, he was actually on a plane with her from Los Angeles to South Carolina together, just the day before she died, making him one of the last few people who saw her alive. This, coupled with the fact that he was putting his hands on her, makes him a major suspect in her death, even if he had no hand in it. So their toxic relationship became public information all the way back in May 2019, when he was arrested on suspicion of felony DV involving Hayden, but that case was later dismissed in September 2019. He was arrested again on Valentine's Day 2020 in Teton County, Wyoming, after Hayden told police he'd roughed her up during an argument and punched her in the face. Days later, after she'd obtained a protective order against him, he was charged in California in an 8-count complaint, 7 of the 8 charges being felonies. She also released a statement at the time. "I am coming forward with the truth about what happened to me, with the hope that my story will empower others in abusive relationships to get the help they need and deserve. I am prepared to do my part to make sure this man never hurts anyone again." Now fast forward to April 2021. Brian pleaded no contest to 2 felony counts of injuring Hayden and was sentenced to 45 days in jail plus 4 years probation, 52 DV classes, and a 5-year restraining order barring him from her. But despite all that, they later reconciled. She said their reunion was contingent on him continuing on this road of recovery, and that he knows he deserved what happened to him.
You and Hayden first started dating in 2018, and it's been a very public relationship. Is there anything you want people to know about you and Hayden's relationship?
Hayden Panettiere is the sweetest thing in the world. It's not about who you spend Saturday night with, it's who you spend all day Sunday with. And Hayden Panettiere is a Sunday girl.
Do you think it's better for her to not be with you?
I think that Hayden is one of the most talented people I've ever met in my life, and I would be an idiot not to walk away from her and let her flourish in her career. So,
Girl, I'm not saying that Brian did it, but he's definitely the #1 suspect. And even if her death is the work of Hollywood to silence her, he's still not going to be let off the hook because he's the perfect fall guy. I guess we'll just have to wait till the FBI finishes their investigation and releases their findings. In the meantime, people had thoughts like this person who said, she was coming out to tell the truth, and they took her out. Another person said she was grieving her brother and was deep in depression after giving birth and turned to alcohol. But something is very suspicious after the yacht story came out. But now I want to know your thoughts. Do you really think she was silenced for exposing everything she put in her memoir? And do you really think they're making Brian the fall guy? Let us know your thoughts in the comments section below. And don't forget to click here to watch this other messy video.